My name is Norman Huelsman, and I'm a co-organizer of Podcamp Pittsburgh. I've been working on Podcamp since Podcamp Pittsburgh 1. So Podcamp is a community unconference where basically new media content creators in Pittsburgh get together to produce a conference for other people who are interested in learning about or creating content such as a blog or a podcast or social networking, new media. So it's an event where people can come together and learn from each other. I originally got into Podcamp because I didn't have a MySpace page when Podcamp Pittsburgh 1 happened, believe it or not. And I think I signed up for it either right before or during. And I realized that new media was happening and I wasn't connected. And I didn't want to get left behind in what was happening. So I personally just wanted to make sure I knew what was going on. And once I got connected to the Podcamp world, it was just such a great community of people who were doing a lot of really interesting work, creating their own content, a lot of hobbies, some business at the time, and it's just grown and grown. And in that time we've seen Facebook become public, Twitter was born, to the tools that we have today, which is the iPhone and all the mobile applications that we have, and the ease of use of all the blogging tools and the podcasting tools that are available. I'm just in it because it's such an exciting space. It's constantly growing, constantly new, and the people are amazing. So I think Podcamp Pittsburgh can be extremely useful to nonprofit organizations or any organization because you can come in, not spend any money, have a couple of people learn about ways that they can promote their message, use Facebook to maybe a fuller advantage, or find out about what other tools are out there for communication and how to reach the people that they want to reach and keep their organization kind of on the forefront of modern web tools, modern web communication.
Cool.
There are two kinds of sessions that are really my favorite at Podcamp. And first is when a session has a goal to create a piece of content, whether it's create a short 30-second, 60-second video, and it can be goofy and silly because we're learning how to use some of iMovie or something. Those are always really fun and very memorable for the people involved. And then I love the sessions that really can kind of drill down and talk about community and talk about an issue that is meaningful, and that happens so many times at Podcamp. My favorite sessions there isn't one session leader, because I think that the best sessions are the sessions that really where the crowd can get involved. And the session leader isn't the expert. It's where you get on a topic where the crowd the community can get involved and really participate in a conversation. And that's where you find you learn the most and you have the most ideas kind of come and gel together, because there isn't one session leader who's really driving it. I think a good session leader is someone who can take a topic, take a conversation, and extend it to the Podcamp Pittsburgh community, and that's what the embodiment of Podcamp really is. In Podcamp Pittsburgh 2, we had our bacon phenomenon, and this started as a hallway conversation with Jesse Hambley and Andy Quayle, and I think Tommy Valier, and they were talking about email that your Facebook messages and your Barnes & Noble updates. It's email that you want. It's not spam, but you don't really need to get it. And so they came up with this term bacon, based on Canadian bacon, and I don't remember exactly the connection, but you can look it up on Wikipedia. It's spelled B-A-C-N, and they registered a session that same day at Podcamp, and there were about 30 people in the session talking about the problem of email that's not spam, but it's not personal messages. And so the term bacon was born, and it was branded, and I think a website was registered, and now Google's referencing the term, and it's on Wikipedia, so there you go. So I've attended Podcamp Philly, Podcamp Boston, and actually Podcamp DC, in addition to Podcamp Pittsburgh. And there is a difference. And in Pittsburgh, there's less of a focus on the business-minded individual, especially in Washington when I was there, so close to Baltimore. There were a lot of folks there from Baltimore, and there were a lot of companies there who were very much focused on making money, using the podcasting as a tool to make themselves millionaires, or you have the marketing people who are using these tools. And at that time, that I was there, not everything was defined. How do you use Facebook? How do you use Twitter? So at those podcamps, especially Boston, everyone was trying to figure out, well, where's this going? Where's online video going, and how is it going to relate to news media? And how, there were a lot of unanswered questions that still may be unanswered, but there was definitely a heavier focus towards business and how is this really changing the world? Where at Podcamp Pittsburgh, I think it's a lot more friendly in the sense that there's a lot of hobby podcasts, there's a lot of just bloggers and people who are looking to make content, not necessarily because they have the next $1 million idea, but because it's more of on a fun scale. So that's not to say that the East Coast podcamps and our podcamp are unfriendly or not business minded. It's just the shift was definitely greater in each direction. You can find information at podcamppittsburgh.com. If you're interested in volunteering, we have a volunteer page there. You can just submit your information, and can learn more about where else to find Podcamp on Twitter, Facebook, what hashtag we're using. We're using PCPGH6 for this year's event, and you can find out all the information about this year's sessions. We have tons of content from Podcamp Pittsburgh 5, Podcamp Pittsburgh 4, video from every session from those previous 2 events, which is just fantastic. And plus we have blog posts going up daily. There's a lot of great information there on podcamppittsburgh.com.